Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This podcast is also proudly presented by T&K Hunting Gear. If you haven't heard about T&K, then it's about time you do, everyone. I've been using T&K gear out in the field and on hunts and have absolutely fallen in love with their stuff. T&K is veteran-owned and 100% made in America, using only American-made products. All their gear is covered under a lifetime warranty with no questions asked. If it breaks or fails, they will fix or replace it for free. T&K is a resource for bino harnesses, bow slings, and a lot more amazing gear. For more information about T&K hunting gear, go to their website at hunting.com. That's TANDK hunting.com. Or you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Don't forget to leave a review from T&K and the Soulful Hunter. Freedom on and stay soulful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter podcast. I got a killer episode for all of you tonight, and it is all about a streaming platform that if you've heard of it, then you've probably really enjoyed it. And if you haven't heard of it, it's time to blow your mind. And we're talking about CarbonTV. It is a streaming platform dedicated to hunting, fishing, the outdoors, the rural lifestyle, and just straight up Americana, just straight up beautiful, free living, freedom life. And tonight we got the president of CarbonTV on, Jules McQueen. Jules, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it is a pleasure as always. You know, we got to meet for the very first time back at the Western Hunt Expo in February, and you recognize high quality people that, like, without question. And you were one of those people. I know I've had Jana, your good friend, on the podcast multiple times. She's always talked so highly about you, and so I'm just honored that you're joining us for an episode tonight.
Yeah, I know Jana has told me about you and your podcast so many times. I've listened to, when you've interviewed her. And yeah, so you and I believe, sat next to each other and kind of, heckled Jana during her speech that she was giving at,
Yes.
at Expo. It was great. There's nothing like sitting front row and, trying to get her to stumble over her words. But she's a pro. She did a great job.
Dude,
Yeah,
she's such a champ. She's
she's
such a champ.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we could make this episode all about Jana,
I could. I
but
usually do. That's usually my thing on Pike. I try to mention Jana's name at least 7.
well, okay,
Yeah.
so here we go. Jana. There we go. Let's make it about CarbonTV. Let's make it about Jules,
Right.
and let's talk about this. So, first off, being an adult onset hunter, I'm 36 years old. I got into hunting when I was 30. Had no idea. Never had Sportsman's Channel. Never had Outdoorsman's Channel. Any of this stuff.
Mhm.
But as you dive into the world of hunting, certain names start to pop up, and you start to
Mhm.
get familiar with people and all that. And so here you are being a female, which first of all is extremely rare in like the major popular area of hunting, but at the same time,
Mhm.
you do a great job. What is your hunting background? Were you raised a hunter? Was it something like, did you have sisters? Did you have brothers? Was it your dad that passed it down to you, or all that?
Well, no, actually, I am self-taught, so I am not from a hunting family. I
Yes.
know, right? Yeah, it's
Yes.
it's so cool. And I can look at it differently. I can frame that differently now from how I used to. But no, I'm from a military family, but not a hunting family. So I understood guns and firearms, but no one ever thought to introduce me to hunting. And I was the youngest of 4 kids. I was the only girl. And we grew up, poor in a small town in Oklahoma. And, I mean, we would go like camping on the weekends, but not anything that involved, understanding wildlife. And so when I was around 17-ish, something clicked inside of me, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if I had seen a photo of something be with a deer. I don't know if I heard people talking, but something clicked and I wanted to learn more about hunting specifically. So I had just moved to Missouri when I was 17 and finished high school. And I would go to the bookstore and I would get books and magazines on hunting. And I started educating myself at that point on what different types of animals there were, because I didn't know there were different types of deer. I didn't know what states elk lived in. I didn't know anything about all of these animals. And I'm going, how did no one mention this? Like, how did I go my entire life so far? No one told me that this is an option.
Totally.
And yeah, so I studied it. I did my hunter safety course. And then I got a deer tag in Missouri. I borrowed a rifle from someone and asked permission to hunt on some property. And I killed my first deer by myself. And
Are you
you know,
kidding
I know,
me? All
no,
solo?
really, and yeah, and I didn't know that there were tree stands that existed, so I just sat down on the ground between a couple trees, and they said I could shoot whatever came in, and so I did. I shot the first deer I saw, and he was a huge buck. To this day, the oldest deer I've ever killed, and
Is this why they
um,
always say like beginner's luck, right? Like,
it really was. But you know what the books and magazines don't prepare you for is what do you do then?
yes.
Nobody ever told me what to do afterwards. So, I was just kind of sitting there like crying but happy and excited but terrified and going, "Oh my gosh, first time I've seen an animal die and it's my first time like being the hunter." So I was just kind of, you know, but it was this beautiful thing of like, okay, well here we go. I'm just going to try to figure this out. And I ended up after that I got into the industry because not a lot of girls were doing that at the time. It just wasn't something that existed a whole lot in the hunting industry. So I started working, for some companies and doing store openings and, pro staffing, which back then meant something very different than it
Than
does
what it does
today.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And, but it was a cool thing. It was just a really nice way to meet people in the industry. And now it's been 15 years and I've been doing it ever since, but on a whole different level.
Dude, that's so
So,
wild. So I have so many
yeah.
questions just based off of that. Did you end up going to college and going that route, or did you go straight into the hunting industry?
I did not go to college right then. I started my first company the day I turned 18. So I postponed going to college for a few years and then ended up going afterwards. But I started working in the outdoor industry around that time. So I was around 18, 19, 20-ish, somewhere around there.
Dude, you are incredible. You that is
Oh, thanks.
so inspiring and is the like precipice of what the American dream is. You have
Yeah,
gone out and created everything that you wanted.
you can do anything you want. I believe that. I honestly believe that, I've always told myself I can do whatever I want and not in kind of a snotty way. I just really do honestly believe I can do whatever I want. So, if I wanted to have a different career or shift gears and go a different direction, I just kind of find a way to do that and educate myself to the point where I can take the right steps, I guess.
Totally. So I am always a huge proponent, and I actually went to an emotional leadership training down in San Diego. Like I had to fly down multiple weekends and do all this, and we had to sit. And my listeners have heard me talk about this on the podcast every now and then, but we had to sit uncomfortably close to a partner who we
Hmm.
didn't know. Like it was the first weekend. These people are from all over the world flying there, and our knees are almost touching. We're sitting in a chair, like eyes straight to the person, and we're told you can't look away. You have to look into the whites of their eyes, and
Uh,
you get to decide who goes first based off of whoever touches the person's knee first. And then they're like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "A cheeseburger." And then they're like, "No, like, what do you want?" And it was the first time in my life someone asked me what I wanted.
right.
And it blew me away because when I answered it, what they followed up with is, okay, cool. What do you want? And it really drove home that one of the biggest issues in this world is that people don't actually know what they want.
Right.
And you're never going to
Yeah.
be able to achieve if you don't identify what it is that you want.
But also, I think a lot of times people fail to ingrain in young people that what you want now isn't maybe what you're going to want in 10 years. You're able to change
Totally.
your mind.
Totally.
So what I wanted when I was 18 is very different from what I want now. And so you have to, kind of allow yourself that and give yourself some grace. What you want is going to change and evolve and shift, and you've got to change with it, or that's how you become miserable.
Totally.
So yeah, you
Totally.
gotta, yeah, just kind of remain open and, open to the options,
It's one
and
yeah, one
keep
of the
asking yourself that question,
then
right?
that's what I was just about to say is like it's something that you got to ask yourself on the daily, on the weekly, on the monthly. I always heard people talk about 5-year plans, but really instead of worrying about a 5-year plan, what is it that you want? What do you want to accomplish? I would imagine that when you were 17 years old and you got into hunting and when you were doing all this research, at that point, what did you want? You wanted to kill a
Like
deer.
I did. Yeah. And turkeys too. Like all of these things that I was like, how did people not introduce me to this? Which, then it shifts into later in my career. What I want is to give kids that opportunity. So I want, if there's some little girl out there and they're like, oh, maybe she wants a new doll. Well, maybe she wants a shotgun. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want,
Heck yeah,
a
she
new
wants a new
dress,
shotgun.
and right. I mean, you have to kind of somehow find ways to make sure that kids know it's an option.
Yeah.
And for some, they don't want that option, but the ones that do, they need to be introduced to it. And I wish somebody had thought about that with me, because I would have got started a lot earlier.
So cool. Being a school teacher, an educator, so often people are like, go to college, go to college. And I even just asked you, did you go to college or did you start your own business? Like how did that work out?
Hmm.
College is not for everyone. And people need to identify what is for them.
Right.
And you know, going to a 9 to 5 job, sitting in a cubicle, doing a job that makes a lot of money isn't fulfilling. And you're not going to
Hmm.
be happy. And it is, the Declaration of Independence says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So
Hmm.
if you're not
Yeah.
pursuing that, then what's the point?
Right. And for some people they do want that and they are happy with that. And that's amazing, and they find ways to, feel fulfilled in their lives and be really happy and live a great life. And then for other people, maybe they're told that that's what they have to do and it's not what they want to do. So that's why, all young people who, like my nephew's turning 13 soon, and I'm making a little, encouraging video for him, and that's my message is, I'm already proud of you because I know you will do whatever you want and you
Right.
will achieve it and you will get there. And, that manifestation is such a real thing. And having adults in your life to tell you that it's a real thing is kind of, what opens that door.
Totally. And I'm so glad that you said manifestation. And I know obviously we talked about this a little bit before it hit the record button and whatnot. But when it comes to manifestation, it's not just manifesting like a career or a relationship or whatever. It is every aspect of your life.
Hmm.
And so, turning it back to hunting, when you went for your very first deer hunt, were you manifesting a deer or were you manifesting a specific deer or what was your focus? What were you thinking upon?
I was thinking, I hope I can find my way back to my truck, to be honest. That was really what I was thinking, because I'm not the best with directions and it was my first time out there. But I mean, I guess I was manifesting just, the experience.
Yeah.
And after reading about it for so long and trying to understand it and not really knowing what those emotions were going to be like, and then when I did complete that hunt and I did have, I went to the taxidermist that day. It was just this whole exciting experience for the first time. And I knew right then what I wanted to do with my life. I knew right then, like, okay, there's a way for me to be able to do this more often. And, I just slowly started manifesting it in that way. And, finding a way to get into this industry in a credible way and working behind the camera and, running a huge production company. And really, over the years, it's not like you manifest it and boom, the door opens and there you are running a big, massive company.
Totally.
It's, over the years, you work really, really hard and manifest those small moments and the little things along the way. And you say, okay, I'm going to give my first keynote speech. I'm manifesting that this time. And then 6 months later, maybe it's, okay, I'm going to sit on the board of directors for this organization that I admire. And that's what you're manifesting right then. And it kind of evolves into this step by step process. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh, here I am 15 years later with my dream job because I took the time to find those small moments that would make a really big difference.
Dude, you are 100% speaking my language. I've been doing this podcast a little over a year, and when I started this podcast last May, someone goes, "Well, what is it that you're trying to do with like this whole hunting thing? What is Washington Backcountry? What is the Soulful Hunter podcast?" And I go, "I want to speak and I want to share the love that I have for humanity and for people and for wildlife and how." And then the tagline for the podcast is that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure. I found who I was in the mountains. I found who I am through hunting, and it makes me a better husband, a better father, a better worker, a better friend, better everything because of what I do. And manifestation is I said last May, so 2019, I go, I want to speak at the Western Hunting Expo in Salt Lake City. I didn't know
Mhm.
how. I didn't know anybody that was like a part of that. And less than a year later, I was speaking at the Western Hunt Expo, giving a seminar. And I'm like, dude, this is incredible. Life is good. God is good. Like, what else do I want? Let's go. Let's just
It's
start
incredible.
throwing it out at the wall, man, and
It's
let's
so
go.
true. Yeah, it's true. You can, you set your mind to something. And I also believe in verbally affirming that. So, if you have a goal and you want to do a thing, say it out loud. I actually, and I know nobody really knows. I've never said this publicly before. So here's a little nugget for you. On my desk, I have a note. Well, I have like 7 notebooks because I write everything down, but I have one specific notebook that is my manifestation notebook. And every single day that I walk into my office, I pull out that when I can see it right now, that one specific notebook, and I write down exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly what my goal is. I know exactly where I want to be. I know what I want from my company. And I write it down in that notebook, and I have pages and pages and pages of it. But I believe in that. And I believe that I hold myself accountable every time I do it.
Yes,
And I
totally.
think anybody out there who's listening, if you have a goal and it seems unattainable, or if it seems like, oh gosh, I'll never get there, that's like, it's so huge and I feel so small, write it down, put it on paper and make it come true. And I honestly believe that that's a huge part of why I'm sitting where I am right now.
But I think I would agree with you, and not but, and what you said earlier was you spoke it out loud. And
Yes, the
so
spoken.
so being the power of the spoken word is people don't understand how powerful words are. So
Hmm.
like going back to I being a father of kids. If my
Hmm.
son is standing in front of me and I say to him, "I love you," he receives that from me. If I
Hmm.
stand in front of him and I think to myself, "I love you," but I don't speak it into existence, he
Hmm.
is never going to know the love of his father
Right.
in that specific moment and circumstance.
Right.
So, speaking something out loud
Hmm.
puts it out there into the world. You could say out there for God to hear, out there for the universe, out there for whatever you want to call it. But
Hmm.
I know that in my life, when I'm a spiritual person, when I pray or when I read the word or whatever it is, if I don't read it out loud or if I don't pray out loud, I don't really feel like it's that powerful. It's the moment that we
Hmm.
actually put it into the world and into the present moment that absolutely changes things. And I think
Absolutely.
I really think that's why it's so special and important for people to interact and say, well, what is it that you want? And then, but also extremely mature of you for being a 17-year-old, 18-year-old woman to say, this is what I want, and then write it down. I
Hmm.
have a contract with myself where it says, I am a powerful, inspiring, loving leader.
Mhm.
That is my contract. And so anytime that I feel like I can't do something, I can't accomplish something, I'm not good enough, I have doubt, I go back to my contract and I'm like, no. And I say it out loud. A lot of the times, if I need to just say it to myself, like before I spoke at the Western Hunt Expo in my hotel room, I looked at myself in the mirror in my hotel room. I was like, I am a powerful, inspiring, and loving leader. Leader, I was made for this. I was born for this. It's time to live my life. And that is the ripple effect that we get to impact people's lives. And that is what it's all about. Like
Isn't it great?
hunting rocks,
Yeah.
but living your life with freedom is so
Mhm.
much fun.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. And part of what I love about my work at Carbon TV is that I get to watch people doing what they love to do. And a lot of the people, we have, I want to say 220-ish shows that air with us right now. And they all are out there creating content, pouring their heart and soul into it. This is a lot of them, this is their dream. This is what they want to do. They've manifested this. They worked hard, got the equipment, learned how to edit, went on these trips, invested money and dollars and time and effort, and their whole families are involved. So this is a lot of people with a lot of big dreams. And I am so excited to come to work every day because I get to watch them making their dreams come true and to afford them the option, and say, here's a platform that is by far the largest in our category. There's nothing that comes close to us. And I absolutely love how we are able to celebrate the outdoor content and the dreams that people are making come true on a daily basis. It's just the coolest thing in the world. And I get fired up every time I walk into my office. I'm like, could it be any better? I get to literally have the greatest job in the world. And back in the day, I got really, I was in the right place at the right time. My career was amazing and wonderful, and I feel like this is my way of like really um sitting behind this desk now and watching other people have that same feeling. And it's incredible.
So my first off, I want to acknowledge you and say I'm so proud of you, and it's really incredible to see you shine and live the life. You're glowing. This like you can tell you're living the existence that you were meant to live. And
Hmm.
there's not a lot of people in this world that can truly say that about themselves.
Right.
I wish there was more people that would like just truly be like, yes, this is what I was meant for.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's so incredible to hear you talk and hear you talk about it so passionately, and it correlates with my mission that I started at Washington Backcountry, where mentorship is conservation. And I talk about often how I love hunting and I love killing the animal and I love bringing home the meat. But when you get an opportunity to help other people achieve their dreams and help other people reach their potential or help them grow and blossom,
Hmm.
dude, if you're, I could be on a hunt and if it was me squeezing the trigger or having somebody brand new squeezing the trigger, it's somebody brand new squeezing the trigger every single time because it is life
Hmm.
changing. And it's, I'm getting goosebumps literally just hearing about, like, okay, Carbon TV, cool, it's a streaming platform, and we're going to dive into that here in just a little bit. But really, what you're doing is creating an opportunity for people to achieve their dreams.
That's right. I
That,
do feel like that. I do actually feel, I believe in my heart that the better I am at my job, the more I can help other people achieve their goals. And that's what motivates me every single day. And I have the greatest team that works with me at Carbon. We're a fabulous team. They're all so brilliant and smart and the most wonderful people in the world, and I've managed to surround myself with just incredible humans. And every single day when I come to work, I can't wait to understand what's going to happen this day, or hear the feedback from our producers or the viewers or my team and what's going on. And I mean, of course, just like any business, there's tough days and there's hard moments and there's challenges and whatever, but the feeling that I get when I'm over the past few years watching this company evolve into what it is now is I feel like it's my life's work. It's my baby. And I absolutely live for this company. It's just such a joy,
So
you know?
cool. So cool. Well, let's dive into it. Let's dive into what is Carbon TV. So,
Mhm,
being in specifically like this is what I think really is shifting within the hunting world is that there's this whole push on hunter recruitment, hunter mentorship, the new generation. And for the longest time it was cable and network TV,
mhm,
Sportsman's Channel, Outdoor Network, and if you were lucky or young enough to like experience ESPN Outdoors or NBC Sports on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings before NFL kicked in, or like there
mhm,
were small things, but really now it's YouTube.
mhm,
YouTube is a streaming platform and it's been great, but but you have to weed through the weeds to
mhm,
find the real good stuff or the content that you're specifically looking for. But here you are with Carbon TV, which is a completely free platform for people to go specifically find what they're interested in.
mhm,
Tell everyone, tell the world right now, what is Carbon
mhm.
TV? What is the purpose of it? Dive into it for us.
Yeah, so Carbon TV, we're technically an OTT platform, which I know every time I say that, people are like, OTT, what is that? It means over the top. So you can watch us on multiple endpoints, is what that technically means. So if you have Roku or Fire Stick or an Android, iOS, whatever device you have, it's always free to watch. We don't charge people to watch Carbon TV. We have I want to say around 220 shows and growing right now, and we've removed some over the past few years that were a little older, but we distribute outdoor content. And by outdoor content, that's not just hunting, not just fishing. That's a lot of different types of content, different types of shows, a lot of DIY, agriculture. The other cool thing is we have live cameras. So these live cams are so great. I'm telling you, I have this theory that people, when they're supposed to be at work working, they just stream our live cams because so many people watch them. It's crazy during the day. But we've got like if you have kids, for example, and you want them to see what an owl looks like in a natural environment, we have barn owls and screech owls, and we have little cameras in their nests where you can see the baby owls growing up. We have the crush cam at Lee and Tiffany's farm, and you can just see some huge bucks coming in to eat, and nobody hunts around the feeder, so you can just watch these animals come in. There's a huge fan club for that. People name the deer and get really
Oh
attached
my
to them,
gosh,
and
that's
if you
hilarious.
catch it at the right time, you can see the bucks shedding their antlers on camera. Sometimes it's really cool. And then we have the wildlifers camera where you can see pigs and deer coming in Texas, and so we have a lot of these live cameras. We're adding a new one I'm really I'm really excited about our new live camera. We're adding a puppy cam so you can watch
Oh,
puppies.
puppies.
I know. Yeah, and we're
Which, by the way, I
installing.
just got to interject, way better than cats.
Oh, I know, right? We don't have a cat cam. I'm a dog mom, so definitely a
That's
puppy cam. But it's so carbon, we just have this really unique and diverse collection of content, and it's a place where you can go and find anything you would want to watch, and you can watch it for free. And the shows that we have airing here with us, they're all really great and creative. Some of them are from the networks. I have a background with the network, so I aired on network for 8 or 9 seasons, and so a lot of my friends had been airing their content there. And with the shift and the change in what's going on in the world, a lot of people are starting to realize that they need a larger digital footprint. A lot of people don't have cable television anymore. I
right.
don't know very many people. I think my dad does. I don't know anyone else who really has cable TV.
So I
So
I currently pay for YouTube TV, but for the
yeah.
longest time, like I've only had YouTube TV for like a year or so, but before that,
Hmm.
I didn't pay for cable. It was YouTube.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. That was if I wanted to watch something, you know.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of where the world is going, and I feel like, a lot of people who are still having great success on linear television or on the networks, they're just looking for a home for their content. And earlier you mentioned YouTube, and sometimes when I'm on these phone calls with people who are bringing their content over to us, I say the difference is, well, first of all, you're not going to get the cell phone number of the president of YouTube. I can tell you that much. But every one of our producers can get in touch with me anytime they want to. But also, I always say go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And there's this
Yes.
massive amount of censorship happening right now. And, a lot of these shows or people who are putting a lot of effort into creating their content, they wake up one day and their content's either gone or blacklisted or red flagged or, and it's really that whole freedom of speech thing is kind of questionable at times. A lot of censorship going on. And over here, we celebrate the content as long as it's legal and ethical and doesn't violate, any of our, ethics. I mean, we
Yeah.
like outdoor content. That's what we're here for. And, we really do celebrate that. So that I think that's why we're seeing such a massive amount of momentum behind what we're doing right now.
It's so cool. So being an end user myself personally, and I know we've talked about this before. We are FaceTiming all you listeners right now. If you're wondering like how we record this podcast, I'm recording through FaceTime. I have a Mac, an Apple computer, I have an Apple TV, I got all this. And you have an app for iOS phones. That is, I feel like the one thing, and I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here, but I'm like, come on, give me an app for Apple TV. That's
Right.
something that you guys are developing? Because you said Roku, you said Fire Stick,
Hmm.
all that stuff. So that's like
Yeah.
that's in the works.
Yeah, it is in the works. Honestly, if you want the honest answer, so it was at the top of our list of things that we were going to be working on, but then we came up with an even better project. So I have a very
Ooh,
good, I know, it's so exciting. I have a very good reason for why I put that kind of, on the back burner for the time being,
yeah,
because I back during around the beginning of the year, we started in with this new project. And then during quarter two, when obviously the whole world shut down, my team started going into overdrive, creating something really incredible. And we did not rest on our laurels. We did not sit back and take a break. We dove headfirst and created something really magical. And
what
unfortunately,
is
the
it? What
the
is
the
it?
downside of that is the Apple TV thing got kind of put to the side for a minute. If you want the truth.
All right. I'll give you that because I can always AirPlay from the phone to the
Yes.
Apple TV and still watch something up there.
Right.
So, so I got you on that. Am I putting you on the spot? Do you want to dive into
No.
a little bit
Okay,
about what
yeah.
is this wonderful creation?
Yeah, so you're gonna love this. I am so passionate about this. So we have created something new that has not been done specifically in our industry. And there's a there's a huge amount of interest in the world in this right now. So we have created something called Unwind. And it's technically called Carbon Unwind, but Unwind is the name of it. And Unwind is a sleep story and meditation app based around nature and the outdoors and the study of ecopsychology. So, ecopsychology is how we feel more connected to nature and more calm and more centered when we study things like, trees and water and,
We
you
call
know,
it grounded. We feel more
right.
grounded. Yes.
Right. So we have actually created the first ever sleep story and meditation app that's based on nature and the outdoors. And for the past year, we have been creating this and we are launching the iOS app this week. And it is a collection of incredible storytellers and narrators reading bedtime stories, basically, is a good way to put it, for people who, might have a hard time winding down at night. And, you should not be looking at social media or the news right when you're going to bed. You
Totally.
need to find a way to kind of, go to bed in a more peaceful way. Because if you really want to know, I know our listeners won't be able to see me, but you can see me, and there's a whiteboard sitting behind me here in my
Yes.
office. I have listed on this whiteboard all of the benefits of better sleep at night and all the benefits of meditation. And I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference in your life when you bring all of these things into it. And it's just a more mindful existence.
Yeah.
So we have guided meditation experts, and we have, from beginner to advanced as far as meditation. Some of it is, for example, arbor therapy, the study of trees and feeling more connected to the earth. We have other basic guided meditations where it's just breathing techniques and being, feeling more gratitude. And these things can really make a huge difference in your overall health. So, and then we also have a kids section. So if you have kids and you don't have time to read them a bedtime story, we have a kids section where we will do like bedtime stories for your kids. And as the story ends and they're falling asleep, it just slowly shuts down so it doesn't wake them up, and then the app turns off. So that
Dude,
way they can go to sleep in a more mindful way.
dude, you're blowing my mind right now. And at the same time, I feel like I want to tell you everything that I've been experiencing in my life lately because this
Yeah.
is like it's right up the alley. Um,
Isn't
it
it great?
it is freaking awesome. And first off, let's talk about the taboo of meditation. That I think
Mm-hmm.
if you talk about the Christian world and the whole taboo with meditation,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, meditation is just calming your mind.
It's thinking deeply.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
allowing yourself to center, and
Right.
if you want to fill yourself with the love of God or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you are trying to achieve, that is all that meditation is. And so there's multiple ways. And first, nature's healing. Absolutely. Like I had a guest on the podcast, Johnny L. Sasser, who's a former Army Ranger and led multiple. Um, he's a leader of the Rangers, but or former, and he's done multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's like, dude, the power of nature. Have you ever just laid on the ground, just laid there? He
Mm-hmm.
goes, the what you end up getting and healing from yourself and connecting with this world will change your life. He goes, if
Yeah.
I don't like go barefoot on this earth, and I'm not talking on carpet or on a deck, like barefoot on the
Mm-hmm.
grass, on the dirt, whatever. He goes, my life gets a little like I don't even know what to say, like jacked up,
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
tense, I guess is the best word. So it's really cool that you are coming at this. Dude, people need healing in this life. There's way too much trauma, there's way too much
Well, I
stress.
mean, yeah, right. I have a degree in psychology, and it's like everybody has anxiety or stress of some form at all times. Like I don't know very many people who can say, "Oh, I have zero anxiety or stress about anything that's existing in my world right now." And different people are going to have different coping mechanisms and different ways of getting through those anxious moments or working through that. And I believe that if we keep this multifaceted, and you mentioned spirituality, we actually are building in a spiritual section of the app for people who would like to feel like they can connect on a more spiritual level. So that's there also, or it will be soon. And I consider myself to be a spiritual person in some ways. But I know that. So, for example, there's a saying, and I use this saying a lot. Well, I have been using the saying a lot, recently because of my work. But they say that if you're a busy person, you should meditate for 20 minutes a day. If you're a really busy person, you should meditate for an hour a day. And I honestly believe it. I have a meditation room. I can see it from my office. It's right here. I built in just a nice, cozy spot where I won't be disrupted. I can go in there and I can meditate 5 minutes at a time if I need to.
Yeah.
If I'm running into an issue at work, it's not like I go in there and I have to chant or do any type of like,
Right.
I have
Is it
sage,
do you have a
but I
couch or do
just
you lay on the ground, sit on the ground? What is it that you
I have a cushion on the ground, and it's a big cushion that I can just sit on and cross my legs and be comfortable. And I keep a blanket next to it. So if it's a little chilly in there, as long as you're comfortable with good posture, and just take some deep breaths. And for me, if I meditate in the middle of the day and it's because of, something I'm focusing on at work or trying to solve a problem or, come up with a solution to something, all it is I go in and I take deep breaths and I really think deeply and I try to not be distracted by anything else. And I let my mind work on this
Yeah.
because I really do think that sometimes, especially in today's world, we're so distracted, and it's this,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just we live in this instant gratification society, but it's also a short attention span society. And so there's all these distractions. And tell me that tell me you don't do this sometimes. If you run into an issue, how tempting is it to pick up your phone and open Instagram to distract yourself from it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And you're
because
like, oh, let me just look at someone else's amazingness happening in their life. Let me distract myself for a minute
hard
instead of
work is hard.
sitting.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
We can do hard things. We just have to focus on it. And so, being more mindful of these things happening in our life every day. And, when something comes up, in front of us and it's an issue, focus on it, think about it, do the hard work, look at that and say, okay, what's the solution here? Don't distract yourself from it. And, I really live and breathe that. And I wanted to find a way to bring this to the world. And so my team over the past year has created this incredible product that's just coming to market right now, and it's going to be huge. And I know that's me manifesting it, but I'm telling you, it's true. There's nothing else out there that's even close to it.
Do
And
I can't wait to dive into this. So, okay. I feel okay, so I don't even know where to start right now. Hunting is traditionally conservative, white, Christian, like populace, I would say.
Mhm,
Obviously, um, that's a whole nother conversation. But if you look at just like that realm of people, when you talk about meditation, when you talk about connecting with nature, when you talk about spirituality rather than religion or religious work,
mhm,
a lot of people will like raise red flags or will automatically turn off or whatever. So
mhm.
I want to dive into this. And by the way, I'm blown away. You are extremely smart. And I not that it's not a judgment call. I'm just like really taking this in. I'm enjoying this. So, if you go into numerology, which I grew up a Christian. I still read the Bible. I love God. In the
Mhm,
Bible, there's numerology, and the number 6 is a number for man. And we're always taught that we have 5 senses, right? Sight,
mhm,
smell, hearing, sound, touch, or maybe I said that wrong, but whatever. We know that we're taught with 5 senses.
mhm,
Well, and then if you have a special sense, it's called a sixth sense. Well, the whole
mhm,
concept that I've been really trying to like wrap my head around lately is this concept of, well, if 6 is the number of man and a sixth sense is like special, don't we all have it? Like and here you are talking about aligning yourself. And so it goes back to my that thing where I was talking about what do you want when I was sitting next to somebody and someone was asking me, "What do you want?" Really, meditation and all this comes down to asking yourself that question. Like
mhm,
getting to the core of your existence and then creating it and living the life that you want. And if some listeners, I know I got a message um, about a podcast that I was talking about speaking into existence, but at the end of the day, if we are made in the image of God and God's a creator, then we are made to create. And to be able to do that, we have to first identify who we are and get to the connection of who we are. And I'm not always trying to bring religion or spirituality always into it, but that's just like welcome to the Soulful Hunter podcast. That's what this is about, man. We are breaking down barriers and delivering content to people that they might not have seen. My
mhm.
brother, who is a wise person, he runs a podcast for all you listeners called the Golden Rule Revolution, treating people like people and nothing less. That's what it's all about. And what him and I were talking, he was like, "Okay, imagine I'm holding up a diamond. All you ever know is that a diamond is valuable, a diamond is beautiful, but all you ever see is the view of the diamond in which you look at. But what makes a diamond special is the way it's cut and all the different facets. So you could be looking at a diamond from one angle, but if I am looking at a diamond from another angle, it doesn't make what I'm looking at wrong. It just makes it different. We're still
Mhm,
looking at the exact same thing. Here we are living our lives. And so I like to apply that to spirituality, to connectiveness, to, and if people want to say Mother Earth or their God the Father or,
mhm,
like energy levels, all this stuff.
mhm,
There is so much more than people know. And yet they want to put themselves in a box and be like,
mhm,
ah, well, it's like God said in the Bible, if you want to talk biblically, that there's things that He's not sharing with us. So therefore, not everything's written down in word, and it's for us to go find, for us to
Hmm.
live. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I know
And,
we're doing a
I
little
really,
bit of a tangent right there, but it's like I think this is so poignant for today, especially with the stress in today's life and all the,
yeah.
suicide rates on the incline right now and all sorts of
Hmm.
stuff that we talked about. We were meant to have this podcast tonight for this reason, and it's so
Right.
cool.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to bring something to the world that can make people's lives better. I know, that there's nights when, some people live alone, sleep alone, maybe they're on the road traveling, maybe at hunting camp, wherever they are, and it's sometimes not that easy to fall asleep at night. It's, specifically with anxiety and stress. And, I know for some people who have never, used any sleep or meditation apps, they're going, okay, really, do I want somebody to read me a bedtime story? But it is a nice way to have some noise in the room as you're drifting off at night. And there's educational stories, so you can actually be learning as you fall asleep. And
Dude,
I always like to describe
osmosis,
it as
sweet.
I always like to describe it as people with amazing voices telling boring stories. So we're not trying to keep you awake. We want to lull you to sleep. And, also if you have kids, we have some really cool stuff in there for them. But on the meditation side of it, I think that people who, like you said, they put themselves in this box or they don't fully understand it. And that's okay too. We actually have a, meditation 101. So for people who haven't started that yet, it's not, I'm not gonna force you to, do any, weird chanting or, anything you don't want to do. But sometimes even taking some deep breaths can be really helpful. And, it's the one thing we come into this world doing and the last thing we do before we leave this world. And all through our lives, we're breathing. But some people don't, they're not mindful of their breath and they don't, really inhale and exhale on a daily basis, with purpose. And when you're having a hard time in your day and something doesn't go right, take some deep breaths and see how you feel afterwards. I'm telling you, there's something to that. And, you
You
know,
are you are such a beautiful soul. I just want to acknowledge you for
oh,
what
thanks.
what the light that you bring to this world is impacting lives. It's powerful and it's so special, and not many people really reach their, not even that you've reached your potential, but like even attempt to reach their potential. And what you're doing to leave an impact on humanity is so special, and I want to acknowledge you for that. Ironically, and I don't believe in coincidences, I just got done today. I went down to my brother's house and he went through a breathing process.
Oh,
And so what he did is um he went through a breathing process. And if people want to call this woo woo or whatever, it's like, what, at the end of the day, you're just breathing. So like what is really
r-
going on?
right.
Um
It's kind of important. We
yeah,
should all be breathing.
kind of
Yes.
important. And
It's a big one.
he's only going into his own mind, right? So he's laying on the ground, he's
Right.
going through a breathing process, and then when he got done, he recorded himself to talk about what came up. And he shared that
Mm-hmm.
with me. And my brother and I, we have a very traumatic childhood.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of actually hard for me to even share this on a podcast, but it's like we were raised in what everyone thought was like the perfect household, but behind the scenes, things were not good. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of trauma in our lives. And that's also why I found hunting was like I found myself and I found the healing through hunting. But that's a side concept. But going back to the breathing, is the stuff that my brother was able to share after he went through that process. He said he finally was able to break through some of the trauma in his life. He was able to identify issues, and he, for the first time, was able to forgive himself.
Oh,
In
that's really cool.
so powerful. And this literally,
Yeah,
this conversation just happened like 5 hours ago, and here we
that's
are talking
amazing.
about this.
Right.
I'm blown.
That's
I'm
amazing.
blown away right now, and then here's what I God is good, and there's no coincidences. And thank you
Right.
for developing an app that people can use. People are scared of silence. First off, people are
Mm-hmm.
scared to be alone. They're scared of silence. They're scared of their own thoughts. They love to
Mm-hmm.
distract themselves. But at the same time, pharmaceuticals are not healthy. So if you're trying to take sleep aids or all these other stuff, that's not good for your like body, especially long term. So if you can find something that can help you ease your mind, calm your mind, settle yourself, you're going to be a healthier person.
Right, and also we're living in a world right now where, some people who really need to go see their psychologist can't meet face to face with them. It's a non face to face environment, and that's really difficult. Some people need to have that interaction, that personal connection with a therapist or, with some even a support group.
Yes.
If you were going to meet with your support group one night a week and you can't do that now, that's not okay. That's a very difficult time in life. That's high anxiety, high stress, feeling alone. And so, the purpose of bringing something like this to the market is you're not alone. There's a lot of other people out there who are also going through very similar things, and let's get through it, and let's find ways as a community to kind of support each other.
Yeah,
And if you do have to go to bed alone at night, you don't have to have that room be silent. We can kind of help you fall asleep in a more mindful way. You don't have to go through Instagram and listen to people's stories just to distract yourself. You can, be educating yourself or
yeah,
learning something about something in the world or hearing a story, kind of like a campfire story as you fall asleep.
totally.
So there's a lot of benefits to just taking these small steps. It's like what I said earlier. I'm going to bring this right back around and say earlier what I said was through the years, I've been manifesting those small steps. It's not just one huge, oh, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be this one big step. It's a series of small decisions. What's the next right thing that I can do? What's the next good thing that I can do? Good decision I can make for myself. And you keep making the one next good decision for yourself. And for some people who are going through a stressful time in life, this might be that one good decision for them. This might be a more mindful way of
Yes,
starting your day. In the morning when you wake up, some people are, get your coffee, sit on the couch, go through social media, be jealous of people. Oh, I wish my hair was different. I got to
totally.
lose weight. So, this is a way where you can wake up, sit down in a quiet place, and meditate for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, and just kind of bring that one next good thing into your life and just be mindful of that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, dude, Jules, this is powerful.
I
Really,
told you it's exciting. I
I
said I had exciting news.
screw Carbon TV, screw hunting, all
Right.
this. I want to go to bed in peace and at ease and all that stuff. That's so
Right.
cool.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing is, and I mean, Carbon TV, obviously, it's my baby. It's, the way I found this is a really cool connection is Carbon TV, we're bringing people really exciting, interesting outdoor content, right? And Carbon Unwind, we're bringing it back down a notch. Let's calm down, let's unwind, let's,
Yes,
kind of, it's like the yin and yang, right? So you've got this exciting, cool outdoor content, and then you have this mindful eco psychology, very calm content. So
totally.
it's two totally opposite ends of the spectrum, and they're both amazing. It's just really, it's exciting.
I know. For all you listeners out there, I'm actually gonna have a hard time titling this episode now because what I had in mind is not how this conversation ended up going. So I'm like, okay, what is this all about? Here we
I
go.
told you, I know, I told you, you never know what's going to come up when you have me on the podcast.
It-
So, I'll always be, full of weird surprises.
so I love this. Okay, so a few things that are way off topic of hunting, but
Okay.
you use the word help. You want to help people. And
Hmm.
I love the concept of help, but I've actually learned to not use the word help and used the word
Hmm.
support because a
Hmm.
lot of the times, and you're a psychologist or you have a degree in psychology, so you probably understand this. Help means you can't do it on your own, and support
Hmm.
means I like to use the support because everyone can do things on their own. They just don't know how to just yet. And
Hmm.
so I like to support people on their journey or support
Hmm.
them in whatever it is that they need support in.
Right.
We'll lift them up, but at the same time,
Right.
we're not doing it for them.
Right.
I think I'm just blown away right now. Listeners, I don't even know what to say in this podcast because I'm sitting here talking about like life as we know it, and it's so cool. So
It
here,
is cool.
here, it's so cool. So my purpose with this podcast, so let's get into the manifestation part of it. People are like, well, what is your goal? My goal is to reinvent and reimagine hunting as the world knows it. My
Hmm.
goal is to be the face and voice for hunter recruitment and mentorship in this nation. I
Hmm.
want to speak life into people. There are so many people that are searching for community, and hunting has the power to transform lives. And from my experience of hunting, is that it's such a closed off and selfish community. And I want to blow the doors off this thing and open it up so that it's accessible for everyone, so that everyone knows how to be self reliant. Everyone
Hmm.
knows to have the skill set to feed themselves. Because at the basis of our humanity, feeding your own self, both physically and spiritually, and mentally and emotionally and socially, is the essence of life. It's what helps us sustain and move forward and have a next day and a next moment. And it's so much fun to hear you do the same thing and support people in their journey that they might not even realize that they're on yet. That's so
Hmm.
special. And that's why I said earlier that I wanted to acknowledge you for the light that you shine. I don't know what people know about Jules McQueen or Julie McQueen or, Carbon TV. I haven't known you very long, but you are like a special person. And I say that with 100% authenticity when I speak to you. I'm, and when I said I'm honored to have you on this podcast, it's super special. Super
Thank you.
special.
It means a lot to me. Thank you. And I know, most people, I guess in the outdoor community, most people know me or, I've been around a while. Life isn't always easy, and I mean, it's been kind of, a difficult road in some ways. And, I don't speak very openly about parts of my journey. And, I try to kind of um, keep that to myself for the most part. But I think that part of my, part of part of what makes me really happy is knowing that when I was going through a really difficult time, I had the right tools and the right coping mechanisms and the right ways to get through that. I had people around me, I had a support system, I had knowledge, I had,
Yes.
all of the things that I needed to survive and thrive through the most difficult part of my life. And here I am on the other side of it, and I'm able to be a part of a bigger picture through that and find something within myself where I fell back in love with myself, after my difficult
Yes.
time. I
Yes.
really did. I completely fell back in love with myself and after the most difficult thing. And, I really want other people to have the right tools and coping mechanisms and support system because I know what that's like and I know what anxiety feels like and I know what panic attacks feel like and feeling alone, I know what those things feel like. And, now that, I have this in my world, I meditate at least twice a day, and I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm just saying for me, being more mindful of what I'm putting into my body, both physically what I'm feeding myself, mentally what I'm feeding myself, all of the things that I'm doing in life. I want to give other people the opportunity to be
Yeah.
healthier as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what I said earlier with Carbon TV. I I couldn't have been more blessed in my career, even before I started working for Carbon TV. And now I want to afford that to other people. I want to pay that forward and say, let me do a really good job so that I can give you this thing to distribute your content. That's what I want to do.
Yes.
And, so for me, it's kind of like, yes, I have had this amazing career and now I can help you have an amazing career. That's incredible for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And with Unwind, it's the same thing. I went through a really, really hard time in my life. And I know you might be going through a hard time also. Let me provide a service.
Yeah.
Let me try to, really create this content library that's unlike anything else out there.
Yeah.
And let's put that out in the world.
You can't
So it's just,
you can't love others until you love yourself. And
it's true.
this world is
Yeah.
about giving. We are meant to give. Energy in
Hmm.
is energy out, and the energy
Hmm.
that we take in, we are meant to give out. And
Right.
so if we are giving out that negative energy into the world, or we're just not even letting that energy flow through us, then it's
Hmm.
all this negative energy inside of us that is causing anxiety, is causing stress, and it's leading to health issues. It's leading to physical manifestation of unhealthy attributes that is just not
Hmm.
good. Dude,
Right.
you are like you're almost like my spirit animal.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
kind of weird to say, I guess, but
That's so great though. I mean, what a great compliment. I do my best, I live by this kind of idea of I'm not always going to do all the things right, but I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to keep doing things and making moves and coming up with creative ideas, and some of them aren't going to work and
yeah,
some of it I'm going to totally fall flat on my face. But now at this point in my life, I'm open to being vulnerable and putting myself out there and really sticking my neck out, and going, okay, this might suck, but I'm going to do it anyways. Watch me go.
yes,
And I it's so great to be at a point in my life where I can do that, and I can say, I really am gonna, you only live one time. I'm gonna do all the things that I want to do, and I'm gonna make it happen. It's
yes.
incredible.
Let's go. Okay, so you just straight motivated me to share a quote that I have actually framed on my wall in my living room, and goes back to the father of conservation himself, Teddy Roosevelt. Love the dude, awesome. The quote, the speech is known as the critic, or no, excuse me, the man in the arena. I don't know. Are you
Oh
familiar
yeah.
with this? Ugh,
Oh
I'm gonna
yes.
read this for all
Yeah.
you listeners out there who have
Right.
never heard this. I want you to listen because it's exactly what Jules just got done saying. It's not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that in his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat. That right there is
Right.
like I framed it in my living room, and you literally just got
Yeah.
done saying that the
Daring
exact
greatly.
yes.
Yeah, and for anyone, Brene Brown wrote "Daring Greatly," kind of based on the thought process of that quote, and it's so true. It's some people get to a point in their life where they're able to dare greatly, and it's because I've fallen on my face. I have crashed and burned, and put myself out there and been vulnerable, and pretty soon you just realize if you surround yourself with the right people, it's totally okay to fail sometimes because they're
Yes.
going to lift you back up. And if you have the right people in your world and the right support system, if you love yourself that much, it's totally fine to be the man in the arena and to fail once in a while, as long as you're out there in that arena doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. I there with the world in the way it's really divided right now with politics and, you know, Black Lives Matter, Make America Great Again, Antifa, Joe Biden, all the politics of this world. If you speak up in a way in which other people don't agree with you and they just rip you apart, at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? At least I'm still out here doing it. And it's not about judgment, it's not about blame. We're not here. Listen, people, listeners, if you are shaming people, if you are pointing fingers, if you are judging people, turn that finger around on yourself and ask yourself, how does it feel? Because you are not putting out good into this world. You know, if you are a believer that we are to, well, in the Bible it says there's two great commandments: love God and love others. And judging and shaming other people is not loving people. And so just like take that and run with it. And maybe I'll need to go into a meditation room and meditate on that for a little bit.
Or, my way of saying that is work hard and be nice to people,
Yeah.
which is what I live by every day. I consider myself to be like the nicest person, because my dog would be ashamed of me if I wasn't, so like that's kind of what I live by, is like I work hard and I'm nice to people.
Yeah.
And I think if you kind of just follow the basic guidelines in life, and it all kind of, and surround yourself with really good people who love you genuinely. And it's just it can be a really beautiful life. And I focus on all the positive energy. I don't let on any of that negative stuff in.
No,
It's not
no,
allowed in my little bubble.
hey,
I've
hey,
worked too hard to create this happy little bubble. We don't let the negative stuff in here. So
haters are gonna hate. Haters are gonna hate. Get out of here. I ain't got room for that. I ain't got no time. Okay, so what's not next as far as like business realm goes? But here you are, you're a 17-year-old girl who killed your
Mhm,
most like mature, old time great deer,
mhm.
and here you are as an adult. Like, are you still hunting? Are you still getting after it? Or is it still the passion that it was when it caught your curiosity?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I had a really great career publicly. Obviously I've had, quite a few different shows over the years. And, to put it in perspective, 2 years ago, I killed a velvet mule deer in Utah, and it was the first deer I've killed off camera in my life,
Wow.
other than my first deer. So I killed my first one off camera, but since then I hadn't killed one off camera. And I shot this velvet buck with my bow, and I was there by myself, and it was like this moment of going, oh my gosh, I've had like this public life out in the field, but being out there alone sometimes is the most beautiful thing that I've ever known. And yeah, I do still hunt a lot. I'm in the field all the time. People just don't know about it. So I don't put myself out there as much as I used to,
I love
and yeah, I do still, my passion for hunting is bigger than it's ever been. I have a deeper appreciation for the moments. I might fill fewer tags, but I leave with more love, than I've ever known. And I appreciate moments like looking at the leaves that have fallen that have these gorgeous colors, and just going, they're dead and they're so beautiful. Just like those incredible things in nature
yeah.
where you like, how is that possible that every single year these leaves are dying and they're this pretty? It's just, I
So,
sit there and stare at it and go, is this real life? How does this world work? This
dude,
is
I think
amazing.
you just addressed hunting. It's like, how can you kill animals? Well, there's beauty in death. There's
Yeah, no,
there's
it's the constant reminder of there is beauty in death.
yeah.
And that's the reason why we appreciate flowers, for example, wildflowers. They're going to die, but they're just so beautiful and fleeting. They're going to be gone really, really soon, but look how beautiful this is. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time in the field. I just don't publicize my entire life like I used to, I think is a good way to put it. And, I'm very private. I'm very, I don't talk much about like my private life after the last few years. And yeah, but I do still have my massive love and appreciation for hunting, and I'm out there in the field. You won't see it on my Instagram that much.
I love it. And you know what? That's okay. And
Oh yeah,
and that's okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'm actually very happy with the transition from, I guess before you would have I'm still a host. I still have my show. Outdoor Weekly is, probably one of the top rated shows, that exists in the outdoor industry, which I'm really proud of it. Carbon TV owns Outdoor Weekly. I've hosted for 3 years now. It's awesome. I love doing my show. I still am, host, producer. I do all that, but I've moved into the corporate side, and it's just an incredible thing. It makes me so happy to see this side of the world.
Oh,
It's very cool.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am super excited for we're watching Carbon TV. I'm excited for season 4 of Outdoor Weekly because I just got done
Mm-hmm.
watching the recap of season 3. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, give me some more. Give me, I want some more content. Um,
Yes.
when it comes
Yep.
to Carbon TV, how often are shows updated? How often is like new content delivered?
So all of the shows that air on Carbon TV, they upload and put their episodes up whenever it's up to them, basically. So, for example, Jana's show airs on Carbon TV, Skullbound Chronicles, and she has hers paced out, one episode every however often. So all of our producers are uploading their content on a regular basis. So if you go to Carbon TV, there's a section, I think it's most recent, or recent videos, so you can kind of see which episodes are the most recently uploaded. So as they're pushed live on the platform, they all kind of congregate right there, so people can keep up on what the latest videos are.
Cool. I love it. And as far as content delivered, like how long are the shows on Carbon? Give just like we've getting into a lot of cool conversation, but just give us some nitty
Hmm.
gritty about like what people can
Sure.
expect when they go to Carbon.
Yeah, so unlike linear or network TV, which typically episodes are, they're in 30 hour or 30-minute blocks, but they're 22.5 minutes. So ours, you can put any time length you want when it's digital, which is really cool. So I like for the episodes to be around 8 to 10 to 12 minutes. I think that that's kind of a sweet spot. The we see the retention kind of go up at that point. So what that means is if you're watching an 8-minute episode, you're more likely to watch the whole thing. But if it has a 30-minute time code, sometimes people get distracted and they'll, like, oh, I don't have that much time right now. Maybe I'll watch it later. So you can find episodes of all different lengths on Carbon TVs. And we have clips too. So, like 3-minute short snackable pieces of content. So if you just want to go binge watch a few things and see what people are up to, different hunts, highlights, that stuff is on there too. But really, I mean, there's no certain time length of episodes on Carbon TV. So there's, you can kind of click through and see, okay, I have 12 minutes to spare. I want to watch a hunting video about moose, and then boom, there it is. All of them kind of pop up. So
That is so cool. I know. So
yeah.
when I got into hunting, I was really like, so I always, not always, I got into guns. My father didn't teach me gun safety or all this stuff. I got into firearms because, well, they called to me and I answered. And so getting into hunting, coyote hunting was my big draw. I was like, I can do it year round. And so I would like go on YouTube and like it's hard to find like predator hunting and a lot of good content when it comes to that. And then I ran
Mhm.
across a guy dogging with Levi,
Oh
and
yeah, I love Levi.
I was like, dude, this is great content. And here he is, probably one of the
Yep,
coolest shows on Carbon TV. Shout
it's
out to Jana
amazing.
Waller and Skullbound Chronicles. Um, but yeah,
Right?
I'm like, dude, this is
Yeah.
great, great stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I love Levi. I've hunted with Levi a couple of times, and his content is so cool. Some of that stuff you see, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what dogging is, he these dogs that are trained to go and kind of, I don't know a different word for it, they taunt the coyotes, and then the dogs draw the coyotes back into the hunters. So it's kind of like a bait and switch type of thing, I guess. I
Right,
don't know
totally, yeah.
I don't know how you would describe it, but I know it's an adrenaline rush. I know that. But predator management is a really big thing, and so this is one more way of going out into areas where there's massive coyote populations, and then he has these dogs that just go, chase around. The coyotes chase his dogs back to him, and then it's coyote hunting. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
His content, yeah, Levi is great.
That's awesome. Okay, so just
Hmm.
to wrap this episode up, because I can tell that this can go on forever. Just like the
Right.
very first episode I did with Jana, where I was like, "Holy smokes, this is awesome!" Um, how do people find Carbon TV? Where do they find the content? Do they have to create subscriptions? Do they have to pay? I know we covered it's free, but like, is there a sign up process? All that, and yeah,
Right. So yeah, anyone who wants to watch Carbon TV, which I highly recommend, if you have a phone, which I'm sure you do, Android or iOS, just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Download the app. You do not have to have an account or anything like that to watch Carbon TV. We stream for free for anybody. I do recommend that you create an account so that we can send you updates. We don't send that many emails out, usually just new shows that have joined the team, that type of stuff. So you don't have to create an account. It doesn't cost you anything. Also, you can go to like your web browser if you're on your laptop. That's a cool way to watch it too. Just carbontv.com. Social media, obviously we're all over there, and we're always sharing our producers content, because there's over 200 of them. So we've got just a constant barrage of amazing things going on social media. And Unwind is launching. By the time this episode comes out, I'm pretty sure it will be live
Yep.
in the App Store. I'm positive it will be live in the App Store, and it's under Carbon Unwind. Yes, yep. So put in Carbon Unwind, or you can just put in Unwind. You can find us that way also, and download that app. And I highly recommend that for anybody who wants to just have a more mindful existence. Even just if you have kids who maybe want to listen to some bedtime stories, or if you just need some noise, or the meditations are really special. I definitely have been, impressed with our guided meditation experts, and my producer is amazing on those. And it's really quite the experience. So I highly recommend everybody getting Carbon Unwind and supporting us on that as well.
So cool. So cool. Well, everyone, I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I know this was an out of the box episode, and you know what? At the end of the day, I hope, and my goal is that you learned something from this, and you were opened and open to hearing something new, and maybe you're going to challenge yourself to dive into, maybe it's a little more meditation, or you haven't heard about Carbon TV, or you need Carbon Unwind in your life or something like that. So, Jules, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your life, your love for life, your passion, and everything that you're doing. So, really, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me on. This is really special.
Yeah, my pleasure. Everyone, go check out Carbon TV. Go download Unwind as soon as it hits. When you listen to this episode, as soon as this stops playing, go check it out. As always, everyone, freedom on, and I really mean freedom on. Life is about living, and living under enslavement of your own fears and the society oppression. It's getting tired. Freedom on, live free, and as always, everyone, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast, as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.